Yep, it's me again. They hate me, that's why they give a fuck about me at the same time. As always, JD Miles, the MGTOWs they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time, as always, which is why they keep us relevant to this very day. And I'm back again with the last call. Fellas, especially to the younger generation. Then again, why limit it to just the younger generation? Fellas in general. In this last call, I'm gonna talk about things that you can do if you have any doubts of paternity. If you if you believe that that a child that they claim is yours, but you have doubts that this is your child at all. I'm gonna go through the do's and don'ts, as well as give y'all clear signs of indication. I'm going to go through the legal go through the legal stuff as well as everything else. Let's get down to it. And yes, this is a very serious issue because you do have men out there, despite the fact that they were told that the child that they have is theirs. However, doubts still linger, especially when one, you know for a fact that she does have multiple partners. And the occasional, if you leave out for a certain amount of time, but then you come back and she's pregnant, even though the last time you had sex with her was months, maybe a year or two, but she swear up and down that the child is yours. You'll even have girlfriends and wives that will blatantly go out, sleep with another person, get pregnant by that person, and in a desperate attempt to try to salvage their marriage, their relationships, they will sit there and try to say that the child is yours. But of course, what's done in the dark always sees the light of day. Whether the dates don't add up or you hear it from other people, especially if it's coming from her family or her friends, especially the friends, they will sit there and tell you that, she was sleeping with other dudes, and there's a pretty good chance that the child ain't yours, all the way down to all the way down to the part all the way down to the point to where, say for instance, you get in an argument with her and she let it slip out that and she'll let it slip out that the child ain't yours. All this raises paternity doubt, especially the second one, because these will be the same ones who get so upset they'll tell you that the child isn't yours. Then they want to sit back and wonder why you doubt the paternity, in my opinion, is utterly stupid and ridiculous to even tell for these females to tell these men this shit, just to sit back and then question why he doubts the paternity. You They know damn well why these men doubt the paternity. You tell me that you I mean you tell me shit like this if we get into an argument and you tell me that, the child isn't yours, you think I ain't gonna doubt, you think I'm not gonna doubt that shit? Fuck out of here. Then they wonder why they in these situations where the the alleged father of the child has doubts. And this is the reason why often oftentimes they find themselves going to paternity court. And no, they are actual paternity courts out here in certain states. Now, here are the do's and don'ts if you ever find yourself in this situation. You do not want to escalate the argument. If it gets down to a point to where they let it slip, don't act a fool, because that's just going to make them act a fool even more. Instead, walk away. Walk away, clear your head, and figure out what you're going to do. What you're going to do next. What you want to do is get a is get a is get a paternity test kit. But I highly recommend doing this shit through the courts. And there's a reason why. And there's a reason why it's best to do it through the courts, because if you get a paternity test by the courts, guess what? She can't deny you the right to take a paternity test. In fact, every male should have this understanding right here. Every male should understand their rights in these type of situations where paternity is in question. She cannot deny you. She cannot deny you the right to take a paternity test. And I know what you're saying. Well, well, in France, well, in France, they can't get a paternity test without the mother's permission. Yes, I do know that for a fact. But this is America, you wuss. I'm sorry, I had to pull out that Fez, that phrase from Fez from that 70s show. Yeah, that's France. This is the U.S. And in the U.S., they cannot deny that right, especially if she's trying to get she's trying to get benefits from it, such as WIC, child support, what may have you. But before she could get those benefits, she has to go to the courts to do so. She has to go through the process to do so. But before she can do any of that, she must know who the father of her child is. Just like that video that I made a few months ago. Don't worry, I'll put that link into the comment section for those of y'all who haven't seen that video. You had this female who thought the courts was going to deny this man a paternity test, and expect for the court to put him on child support, only to get a rude awakening. Guess what? He has a right. He has a right to a paternity test, and whether or not he is the father or isn't will determine where things go from here. And boy, she did not like that shit at all. That's tough luck. And I don't know why she has a sour face for. The courts want to confirm whether or not he's the biological father. And if he is, you can do what you want after that. But if he isn't, oh well. And yes, there's been a outstanding uptick in paternity fraud cases, in which they are now starting to crack down on that shit. In fact, in some states, most hospitals will not allow the mother, no longer allow the mother to write random men's name on the birth certificate. In fact, the biological father has to be present in order for that birth certificate to be signed. And which, of course, that's one of the many issues. That's one of the many issues that MGTOW and most of these men groups been tackling. Because by these mothers putting random men's name on the birth certificate, putting them on the hook, that's forgery. That is forgery. And and 9 times out of 10, they don't even know who the biological father is. And oftentimes they will only put these men's names on the birth certificate just just to get benefits. They know about that shit too. That's the reason why they're cracking down on it. So now it's down to a point to where if the biological father is not there at birth, or they or the hospital says that the alleged biological father has doubts, then guess what? They will refuse. They will refuse for. They will refuse the signing of that birth certificate. In fact, they'll take the birth certificate, and if no man signs that birth certificate, it goes directly to the state, and from there they work things out, and then they work things out from there. And through the state, they will ask who all the men that she slept with. She will give out all the names. They will contact these men. They will contact these men. Have them all take a paternity test to determine who the father is. And so forth and so forth. Now, fellas, the one thing you don't want to do, and hear me clearly when I say this, the one thing you don't want to do if you ever have paternity doubt is be a dummy and willingly sign your name on that birth certificate despite the fact that you have doubts. If you ever watch Paternity Court, Judge Lake tells these men this shit. Oh, did you sign a birth certificate? Yes, Your Honor. Well, I hate to break this to you. But by signing that birth certificate, you are legally on the hook. Legally, by the state that you're in, you are responsible for that child, whether or not if it's your child or not, because you signed that birth certificate. Oh boy. And which of course is true. By you signing your name on that birth certificate, legally you are responsible for that child. And this is the reason why, I tell these men out here, if you have if you have any paternity doubt, do not sign your name on that birth certificate. Because once you do, you're screwed. In some states, and unless you're in certain states to where you get hired, if you hire, unless you're in certain states where you can hire a damn good lawyer to fight it, you're even more screwed because some states you don't have that you won't have that right. You're stuck with it. So the best solution is to not even put your name on that birth certificate at all. And say, for instance, the mother turns around, write your name on that birth certificate, that's a forgery. Not only is it a forgery, she just committed paternity fraud, in which you could hire a damn good lawyer and fight that case, because after all, you didn't put your name on that birth certificate, she did. Thus making you quote unquote a dad by default. Now, as Uncle JD been saying, these dad by default laws need to be abolished, because all it is just a form of entrapment. Yes, you heard me. A form of entrapment. They don't even know they don't even know whether or not you are the biological father. They just randomly put your name on a birth certificate and just hope that you are. And 9 times out of 10, you're probably not. And oftentimes, they only put your name on that birth certificate because, as you constantly hear other men be saying, they only put your name on that birth certificate because you have the benefits and resources needed. And 9 times out of 10, you're not even the biological father. So don't be a dummy and volunteer to put your name on that birth certificate. Get the facts first and understand the situation. Take a deep breath, take some time, get the answers before you do any of that. In fact, before you even sign the birth certificate, make sure your lawyer is there. If it's through the court. And make sure that you are the biological father before signing that birth certificate. But most of all, stay cool. Keep a calm head. The worst thing to do ever is to act a fool. Because if you act a fool in that court, they will kick you out. And guess what? They're going to favor the mother. And be wary of what you hear. Be wary of what you hear. Better yet, take what you hear with a grain of salt. Don't brush it off as if it's a lie. Same time, don't take it as truth neither. Follow your own instincts. And sure, her family might hate your guts, her friends hate your guts, but guess what? They can say anything. Your main objective is to find the answers and to eliminate the doubts. Now, say for instance, she claiming that you're the biological father, but another man is in the picture, another man that she slept with, and 9 times out of 10 you probably not know about, and he's claiming that he's the biological father. That's even more of a reason for a paternity test. Especially if you just say, for instance, if you're in a position where you're just finding shit out, she kept shit in the dark until it finally sees the light of day. Get the answers. Don't just take it off face value. I can't stress that enough. And be wary of these traps. Be wary of the traps. And yeah, you will have these females trying to entrap men just to get benefits, child support, WIC, and what may have you. Know the know the plots. Know the know know when you're being conspired against, and know how to move appropriately. Now I know for a fact that now I already know for a fact that Tennessee has now passed the law to make fraud a crime, paternity and maternity fraud a crime, as well as making DNA tests mandatory to erase all the doubt completely, in which, and rightfully so, and both men and women agree. But fellas, pay close attention to this shit. If you have doubts of paternity and you tell her that you want, and you tell your girlfriend or your wife that you want a paternity test, pay close attention to how they react. And yes, you got two. They're gonna react in two ways. If you ask for a paternity test and they like, go ahead, I don't care. Go ahead, I don't care. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. Or they gonna come at you like, you just want to you just want to be sure that you're the father. That's one side, but here's the other side. The other side, they get combative. They get they get they get defensive. They get combative. They now want to question you. They now want to act a fool. They now want to be all emotional and shit. Now, if they take it as they don't care, it's no big deal, then then they have no doubt at all that you're the biological father. But it gets down to a point to where they start acting like children themselves. They now want to act a fool. They now want to raise hell. There's a pretty good chance that the child is not yours. And because it's not yours, they're doing anything and everything they can to try to maintain the relationship. I mean, the simple fact that everybody wants a paternity test mandatory, had a whole lot of these females up in arms. You have all these females acting so emotional, so insecure. And that right there lets you know that there's a pretty good chance that the children that their kids that they claim are this dude's children are not. And rather that shows that they have something to hide. Watch out for those signs. Watch out for those signs. Because by the way they act will let you know whether or not you are the biological father or you're not the biological father off the rip. Now, before I jump off and end the last call, as I stated earlier, Tennessee has now made paternity and maternity fraud a crime and DNA tests mandatory. Now, I've been trying to look up the state of Michigan and see where the progress is on on whether or not they're going to follow the suit of Tennessee. I haven't gotten any word. Now, for all you fellas out there in the state of Michigan, if y'all know something about this and you know the current status, please let Uncle JD know that way. Let Uncle JD know that way I could come out with an update. I'm not going to sit here and be like the rest of these content creators saying, "Oh, this happened, that happened," and then come to find out that, I've been wrong the whole entire time. I would rather want to know the truth. So for the fellas out there in the state of Michigan, hit me up. Let me know this. Let me know the current status of the situation. Are they making progress? Are they dragging their feet? I don't know. Please let me know. And with that, I said what I had to say. I'm done with this last call, and I'm out this bitch. Later.